Welcome everyone to tonight's City Council meeting. We have a pretty short agenda, but it's pretty involved. Alderman Mary Fraction is going to lead us in the pledge and the prayer, so if you'll all please stand.
Almighty Father, we hold up in prayer before you this City Council, the government and this country. And Lord, we ask you in Jesus' name, we give thanks for everything that you do for us. And Almighty God, we thank you for your daily for your forgiveness. When we sin, we thank you for your grace for returning us back into your righteousness. We ask you, Lord, to thank you for the City Council and everybody making the right decisions according to your will and not ours. We ask you this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mary Pratt here. William Wilson. Jan Glidewell here. Wayne Reynolds
Here.
Peggy Lou Singer
Here.
Robin Halbert, Larry Stiles
Here.
and David Frost.
Here.
I declare that a quorum is present. Your packets contained minutes from the previous meeting. Are there any questions or corrections to the minutes? Do I hear a motion and second to adopt the minutes as written?
Make a motion. Second.
Is there any discussion? Fraction?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Glidewell?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Lou Singer?
Yes.
Albert?
Yes.
Stiles?
Yes.
Frost?
Yes.
Departmental reports were received in your packets. Are there any questions or corrections concerning departmental reports?
I have one question on the police department's report. There he is. I may not have noticed this before, but on the reports they're reporting a notice vacants. I assume that is a vacant property.
It is, sir.
And that there's 121 vacant properties.
So far.
And they're all in somewhat violation of, or at least they've been warned.
Yes, they've been
You
warned,
can find a property owner.
trying to. It is a lengthy process to find the property owner and then submit the actual documentation form to warn them for what violations they need to be responsible for and correct.
When you refer these to the code enforcement officer,
Do we refer them?
I see that you do.
Yes, sir.
For what purpose?
So he's aware of what we're doing, so we're not doubling the work
Okay.
when we're out there.
All right, that's what I want to know.
Okay, sir.
I would ask this question of the code enforcement officer: is I see no such citations on your report.
Well, we've got some because I send out letters every day, but what we're doing is working closely with the police department. And we're getting a lot better success of all these properties being cleaned up because of us working together now.
But when he refers one to you,
I'm keeping a file on it. I'm keeping a record of everything. I haven't put theirs on my reports. Is that what you're asking?
well, I'm asking, do you ever write citations?
Write the citations yourself? Yes.
Can you include that on your report?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay. One other thing I would like to address, most of you may have noticed that there is a report in here from the IT department. This is one that I had asked for. This hadn't really been treated as a departmental status, but I think this is something the council needs to look at, that this thing ought to be split out right now. A lot of the departments are taking care of a lot of their business, and we really don't have a good report on what the IT department has been doing. They gave a good detailed report, and hopefully in the financial report I have talked to Phyllis about the possibility of splitting them out to see how much money that particular department is actually costing us, or how
Whether
much.
we just need to give them their own budget in this new year.
It'll be very simple in this new year, because we'll probably just split out the salaries and a few other things. At some point, it won't actually be an increase. It would only be pulling some of the dollars out of the departmental budgets and putting it into the IT budget, if we can determine what that number is. You can approve the reports.
Is there any more discussion? Fraction?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Gladwell?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Lucinger?
Yes.
Albert?
Yes.
Styles?
Yes.
Cross?
Yes.
We'll go right into new business. You have in your packets an ordinance adopting the 2015 tax levy for the city of Malvern. As a reminder, this is a requirement from the state each year. Contains no new taxes. Would someone like to introduce the ordinance for its first reading?
Introduction made.
An ordinance levying city taxes for the year 2015 for general fund police pension and relief and fireman's pension and relief. Whereas it is necessary that the City Council of the City of Malvern, Hot Spring County, Arkansas levy the following real estate taxes: 5 mills for city general fund, 0.5 mil for police pension and relief, 1 mil for fireman pension and relief. Whereas it is necessary that this levy be furnished to the County Clerk of Hot Spring County and the Secretary of State. Now therefore be it ordained by the Malvern City Council, Section 1, that the following real estate taxes are hereby levied by the City of Malvern, Arkansas. A, 5 mills for city general fund. B, 0.5 mil for police pension and relief. C, 1 mil for fireman pension and relief. Section 2, nothing herein shall be construed to alter or change the terms or conditions of the present franchise under which the city is operating. Section 3, all other ordinances, agreements, or parts of ordinances and agreements in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance are hereby repealed. We need to have this to the county clerk's office by November 15th. Would someone like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place the ordinance on its second reading by title only?
Make a motion. Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Fraction?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Gladwell?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Lucinger?
Yes.
Albert?
Yes.
Styles?
Yes.
Cross?
Yes.
An ordinance levying the city taxes for the year 2015 for general fund, police pension and relief, and fireman pension and relief. And this will be heard for its third reading at the November meeting. Your packets contain a bid summary for the city's residential mandatory garbage collection, and I will now open the floor for questions from the city council.
Luke, could you give us an update on just where the direction that?
Two issues have been brought to my attention. One involves the landfill issue, of which landfill are the people who submitted bids required to use the Two Pines and Jefferson County landfills. And I've discussed the matter with the district, and what I found out is the district does have a contract with those two fields setting rates, and that they do in that contract ensure that all the members of the district will utilize those landfills. However, when you have a waste management district and they have an approved waste management plan, as ours does, they can establish regulations requiring cities and counties to use certain landfills. It's called a flow control regulation. Our district has no flow control regulation, which means that the city of Malvern can send its refuse to any approved landfill that it chooses to send it to. They don't have to use those two. But our instructions indicated that those landfills would be used. So, I think it's up to the council whether or not they they don't have to require a specific landfill to be used. And it just comes down to if you want to enforce those provisions of the instructions or not. The contract hasn't been signed yet, absolutely requiring it to be done. And that's the first issue. Second issue involves sales tax. Phyllis did this thing that basically added sales tax into a couple of the bids, and there were some complaints about, you know, whether that was altering a bid or not. We always include in our instructions and all of our documents a provision that allows the city to reject all or a part of any proposal or to waive any irregularities in any proposal that it seems fit. In the instructions that we handed out, it does not require that sales tax be listed separately. However, on the bid report or the bid form, there is a little thing. I think the bid form's old. I didn't even see it at any point during this process, but it does state that the sales tax needs to be listed separately, or it's just considered included in the amount that's bid. I think it's an irregularity that we can waive if we want to. I don't think, you know, basically the amount that everyone bid, we were aware of whether sales tax was included or not. The sales tax is a fixed sum that, you know, it's not going to change from person to person, so we're able to identify what the bidder intended as far as a price. So I think it's an irregularity that we could waive if we so chose to.
So the main contention here is, or the only disagreement among the bidders is that one item regarding sales tax?
For the most part, yes. There was also some questions as to whether or not the bid should have been opened at the last meeting. I haven't found anything that said, you know, that we absolutely have to open them at a specific time, or anything of that nature. And that was the main contention, that bids were changed because sales tax was added into them, you know, increasing the amount of the bid.
I want to say too, to me it looks like we have 3 completely different bids. We've got Republic Service bid that will pick up, we have 1 can, this is their price for 1 can. We have Waste Management, will just pick up whatever we put out on the street, as long as it's bagged up. We've got Get Rid of It that will pick up 1 can and whatever is bagged up on the street. That's what I understood from the last meeting. What I don't know is how many people are going to want 2 cans, and if we're going to let them pay for that, if the city's doing it. And if the city is doing it, what I figured it would take about 700 people wanting a second can to equal Waste Management's bid.
To take the low bid of the Waste Management's bid?
Right. It would take about 700 people, and I don't know if those are, if that's a high number, if that's a low number, or if that's a good number.
Yeah, I think the council has 2 options. You guys can pick somebody and go with them, and I think that would be legal and defensible, or we can always scrap it and start over. I think Waste Management submitted a letter that indicated that if that ends up happening, they would be willing to lock in the rates for the next 6 months while we redo it. And I think either ways, you're not going to get into legal trouble necessarily over it.
Well, with regard to the issue of containers, I think that Republic Services bid the containers, that's providing 1 container. If somebody wants 2 containers, then they're going to have to make some arrangements, and that would have to be, in my view, would have to be paid for by the resident and not by the city or by the Department of Service. If that would happen, then we would have to start billing for that service, which I think is the way that you normally do.
I think we can anticipate that contract for it. If, you know, we haven't done the final contract, so anything of that nature, I think we can work out.
So it really doesn't impact, to me, it doesn't really impact the bid, because I mean, that's something that we've got to work out and figure out how we're going to do. But I understand that there are some differences, and I understand there is some, as far as the bid process, it wasn't handled as well as it could have been.
I don't think it's enough to take us into, you know, legal deep waters where we're looking at, possible liability or anything of that nature. Like I said, we can waive irregularities. I think these are some irregularities there, but they're nothing, detrimental. And if we did redo it, we'd need to be sure if we wanted to specify. I think 2 of the places are using the landfills that are specified anyway, and we just had one bidder that could use a different landfill, but indicated that they'd be willing to use the Two Pines landfill if we required them to. And I think at this point, if the bid were awarded to the Republic who wanted to use the different landfill, you guys could bind them to use the landfill as specified in the instructions if you chose to do so. And they seem to be fine with that as well.
Well, I know it may seem a little unfair to get rid of it because of, he worked hard to get the correct bid in, but by virtue of the fact that we do have a significantly lower bid, and I don't think anybody wants to go through the bid process again. I don't know that it would change a whole lot. My motion would be that we accept the Republic Service bid with the understanding that it will go to Two Pines, and that we will work out some provision for the second card if that need arises. And I'm basing that entirely on the 10-15 bid, or after the numbers were rearranged and they calculated the sales tax and everything was rolled into it, they still came out with the low number. And it's just a dollar and cents issue to me. Even though I think there are some services out there that can provide just as good or better service, no question about that.
Are we able to say something out here?
All right, with me. So, let's get a second. I'll withdraw my motion for the time. Y'all want to hear it speak?
Just say one thing. So I've been the controller of Get Rid of It for 15 years. I read through the contracts inside and out, backwards and forwards. Specifically states in the contract, in the bid spec, sales tax cannot be added after the fact. Can only be done either in the bid initially, or if you earmark it separately and state it on that bid page. It's $40,000 a year to you guys. You need to think about that sales tax. That's just all I got to say.
Well, it's my fault that that was in there because we've used that bid form since 1973.
That's irrelevant.
I don't even know, honestly, I haven't even read it in a long time. But I did go back and I did redo each bid. It's not a cost of $40,000 to us. Y'all are still the highest bid, even with the sales tax.
I understand.
So,
We didn't get the bid. I
well,
understand that. It's not my
whatever
fault.
they put as in the contract and whatever they put, how the sales tax will be paid, which that is in the instructions to the proponents and in the bid specifications. So it's not like the city's going to be losing $40,000. If that were going to happen, then I would be I don't want that to happen to the city. But it's all coming out in the same way. When I refigured it, I also took off the 3% from y'all's bid, just to make sure that it was fair and I wanted a correct price for everybody.
Okay.
So it is my fault, and we won't use that bid sheet anymore. I'm going to throw those.
I think we note Get Rid of Its bid went down from $11.91 to $11.56 per month, reducing the 3% back to the city, which also it said the instructions should be added into the bids. So there were mistakes on all 3 bids.
We also did submit a letter that said we would give the second can for nothing to anybody that has 4 or more people in the family. That eliminates, and that brings our bid price down again also. With us thinking that we would give out 600 to 700 more cans.
And if I might note, the 3% comes out of our bid, so now our price is low. I mean,
There's a worksheet that I did and sent to all the council members this week that gave the revised bid amounts.
so you're aware that, we know that 3% comes out of our bid price?
Yes.
Okay.
That takes you down to 915?
No, 3%, whatever 3% of,
Well, then the
10,
sales tax is
15.
added back
Yeah.
in, so.
So ours will come down 3% as well.
Yeah, and we did all of them, we applied it to everybody so that we're looking at apples and apples instead of 2 apples and an orange like we were last week.
You want to read what they are so we know?
Yeah, get rid of it came out to be $11.56 per month. That's with the sales tax and the 3% taken out back to the city. Waste management ended up being $11.07 per month. That's with the sales tax and the 3% coming out. And Republic Services ended up being $10.74 a month.
Another question?
At our finance meeting, you had a question specifically about extra carts, and you brought it back up again. We do have a smaller contract in the area that's a municipal contract. It's very small. It's probably 600 homes, and there's 7 people that have extra carts. So 10% maybe is what you're looking at. And as we discussed in another meeting, that's something, when you talk about fixing the contract or catering the contract to that, but that's something that we could direct bill that wouldn't involve any billing on your side of it, so.
All right, what's the wishes of the council?
I'll restate my motion as I made it before.
I'll second that. Let me read that back to make sure that I've got it correctly. Motion to accept the bid from Republic Services on the condition that they utilize the Two Pines landfill and that the provision for the second cart is worked out in the contract.
And I can even take that part out if they've got to.
You want to just take that out?
Just take that out. I think we'll have to deal with it one way or the other when we get to that point. We can work with whoever gets the bid. And I fully understand the questions that's involved here, and I've talked to some of these people, and I understand your concerns and whatever, but it's a dollar and cents issue.
Is there any other discussion? Fraction?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Gladwell?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Lewis Singer? Yes. Albert?
Yes.
Stiles?
Yes.
Cross?
No.
Okay, the motion carried. When do you think? Mr. Burns, he said that he should have you a contract ready by the end of the week.
Hopefully sooner. Let me give you one more.
yeah, do that, and then I was gonna let y'all know that we'll get out of your way. I'll just call you tomorrow and talk to y'all, and we appreciate that very much, and we'll get things going.
I'll be available tomorrow too.
We do need to get a hold of somebody. We have not had any luck with regard to the list of addresses. And I really, if I can get that,
Okay.
with somebody,
Is David here?
put somebody with us tomorrow, then we could really get things.
That's the guy you need to talk to right there.
And one more question as well. For expediency on the boring the cards, would there be a way to get a copy of the minutes of the contract
I should have, if not tomorrow, I should have it done by Wednesday, and I'll just email a copy.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, tell you. Next item on the agenda, we'll start from there.
I was handed a question about when and where we can adjust the mayor's salary. In doing some research, I called the Municipal League and spoke with them. They referred me to an Attorney General's opinion and to a 8th Circuit federal court case on point. There's an Arkansas statute that states that a mayor's salary cannot be changed in office, cannot be lowered in office unless the mayor volunteers to have it reduced, can be raised during office. But the question is, prior to a new office holder taking office, can the mayor's salary be reduced? And it's kind of a gray area. According to the Attorney General's opinion, there's no specific rule that prevents you from doing it up to the election. As soon as someone is elected, then they say it's a no-no. But they caution to do it prior to the filings, the official filings. And in the circuit court case, the 8th Circuit court case, basically after the election was over, the city council voted to reduce the city attorney's salary to $1. And the Supreme Court actually ruled that it was basically an ex post facto punishment for a certain, the Republicans winning in that district. So they set it aside, and the city had to pay judgment on that. In my opinion, and according to the Arkansas Municipal League, if we were to change it, it needs to be done prior to the elections being final, and it doesn't need to be a substantial decrease. We can't take it down to $1 or from 80,000 to 10,000 or anything of that nature. But as long as it's reasonable and for reasonable reasons, there's nothing prohibiting it from being reduced prior to the election, which is November 4th.
That's the reason it's on the agenda.
Right. So you probably have to call a special meeting to approve it, or whatever.
Let me get one point of clarification. In looking at this, it's salaries of elected officials are set by ordinance, correct?
Correct. You have to do an ordinance to change it, yes.
Is the budget considered that ordinance?
No. The budgets can be done after the first of the year. We would do a separate ordinance.
We do a separate ordinance every 4 years, setting the elected official's salary.
If you waited, it'd be after the election if you wanted to do that.
But if you want to do the mayor ones now, it's a special ordinance by itself prior to
Right.
the election. Results.
That's what I'm saying, you can't wait to do it in the
No.
budget.
No, you can't wait.
It was my understanding that we were considering this because the mayor's not doing what he was doing at one time, the job description.
The mayor's responsibilities have changed.
And I
Yes.
think that would be sufficient justification. In the AG opinion, it was the city gave the mayor the option of either being part-time or full-time after they got elected, which there's a big salary difference between full-time and part-time. And basically, the AG was saying, you can't do that. You can't let a mayor choose after the fact. The salary needs to be set prior to the election, so that the mayor knows what they're getting themselves into, I guess, prior to taking office. They said preferably before the filing period, but we're still in the gray window. There's no set statute or law stating that we can't do it right now.
How would you do it before filing? How would you say it?
I don't know. You don't know if the mayor that's sitting is going to run or win.
That doesn't seem like
I guess
it'd
you
be
have to do it on a
possible to do.
contingency. Unless the mayor announced before the filing that he wasn't running, I suppose. But, no, it's now or never, and I think it would be okay to do it now.
Okay.
There's no precedence out there saying that we can't do it.
Well, I know some of the council will say it should be reduced, to some say, maybe no. But we did look at some numbers. I think everybody's got the numbers, comparable salaries in other cities.
One more question, what was the salary before and after the job description change, and the salary jumped up, and then?
It was a $20,000 increase.
It was a huge increase, yes, percentage-wise.
55 to 75, is that what we're talking about?
Roughly it was that. There's been some percentage
Yeah, he's had
increases since that
some
time.
longevity raises and stuff like that. But his base is.
His base is 75,000.
75, yeah.
75,000, and that was, that may have been increased some since that vote was taken. I don't know what it was originally, but it was somewhere in the $70,000 range. But just for the interest of the council, the last numbers I saw on cities the size of Malvern that was made available by the municipal league, the average salary for mayors in 2013, this is the last numbers they had, was $66,951. The minimum in that range was about $53,000, and the maximum was about $80,000. So the mid-range number was $66,951. That includes cities all the way up to the population of.
That's all cities.
No, that's just
Or
from 10.
cities up to what?
10 to 20,000. And I think you have the numbers on.
Well, this is a pretty good guideline here too. In fact,
Yeah, you only got 2 that go near 80,000 that are actually the city manager. And then the other 5 there are.
Well, a city manager will always be higher than an elected official. You could probably throw those
quite a
two.
bit lower.
You could probably throw those two out.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're not even really comparable to the other one. That's not what we're doing.
I'd say they have a lot more job requirements, city manager form.
Oh, there's a big controversy going on in the city of Bryant right now about the mayor's salary. I think the salary there in contention is somewhere around $70,000 or $71,000.
62, here's what
That's this
what this says.
Unless this is out there.
Well, she was trying to get an increase.
Oh, she wants an increase.
Did
Did they do it? No conference vote on her?
Something like
She
that.
gave herself a raise. She gave herself a raise for that.
Well, she was operating off JSEP and saying that she should be in the, not only her, but the other elected officials should be at the top of that range. That's one of the reasons I've advocated that we need to get a range in place. The other problem I have with the mayor's salary is, the thing that bothers me is the big gap between the department heads and the mayor. It doesn't seem quite fair to me that a mayor or any mayor makes $20,000 or $30,000 more than the next department head down the line. With the responsibility that the mayor had when he was supposedly running the water department and everything else, that was a little bit different. But right now, most of your department heads are making substantially less than $75,000 a year.
Have y'all thought any more about that DB squared program?
I would like to pursue that, yes.
What I missed?
Oh, DB squared, the DB squared program, where they come in and evaluate
Right.
everyone's salaries. And
A lot of that is on the new mayor and what they want to do, and we started it, but since Virginia Harrison's left, it's kind of hard to do anything with it right now. But this is what I'm looking at, and since we are going to have to do something, my suggestion would be that we reduce that salary to $70,000 a year. But I'm open to any.
the base.
The base salary would be $70,000.
I was thinking, that's still above a lot of these cities that probably have bigger budgets than we do.
It's true. And recognizing we've still got to do an ordinance to make this happen, I don't know how we're going to do that.
It's probably have to have a special meeting because the next council meeting is not until after the election results.
In fairness to those people that are running for the office, I'm sure they were looking at that base salary, but at the same time, I hope they recognize that there was a reason for that salary to be as high as what it was. And there is a reason for taking it back down again. And that 70,000 would be competitive with other cities of our size.
65 would be more competitive. Well, I'm just saying, the numbers are right here. I mean,
65 is.
I feel, and I don't have any way of knowing this, but I feel certain all of these cities that are paying in that $60,000, $64,000 range have a larger budget than we do. I would almost bet on it. See, And then you've got Stuttgart right there with 700 less people, and they're paying 41,000. So it's kind of all over the board, bottom line.
There are other benefits that go with being there.
Anybody else got a number they want to throw in?
I think looking at these numbers that Larry is more right. I think that if we're going off of competitive rates, I mean, the highest number on here is 64,000. And they've got a population similar to ours. And you've got one that's got a little bit higher population that's 60,000. And one a little higher that's 63,000. And you're talking about 65. That's pretty fair. Just looking at these other cities, it's still 10,000 higher than what the mayor was making before he took on the responsibility of the other job.
That are now being.
That's now not there. So you've got $10,000 raise if you're trying to rotate it positively.
Is there a way we can have a special council meeting the night of the tax and planning meeting next month? Things that fall on the tax and planning meeting. Is a Monday early?
It's on the 3rd.
The day before elections.
You call a special city council meeting.
Anytime, right? That's what I'm saying, but if y'all want to
do it next Monday. I don't do that.
I mean, y'all can do it next Monday, but if y'all didn't want to have to, I mean, if y'all are coming anyway on the 3rd, that's the day before the elections, it'd be a good day to do it. I mean, you could do it that day. Or you could do it anytime in between. But that's the absolute last day you can
It's
do
cutting
it.
it close, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's cutting real close.
Something happened.
No room for error.
Yeah, we didn't know we need to do it if we're gonna do it before then.
I move we go ahead and draft the ordinance, leave the salary
Leave
blank,
the salary
pass it
blank,
on Monday,
unless-
just coming Monday night.
That's a special meeting, but
Had a special meeting, everybody.
Make that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
It's fine, it's October 20th, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Someone's gonna get mad at me. This sounds football games.
Is there any more discussion?
Everyone driving around.
Fraction? Wilson?
Yeah.
Gladwell?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Lucinger?
Yes.
Calder?
Yes.
Stiles?
Yes.
Wrong.
Yes.
Y'all want me to draft the ordinance and leave them out blank?
That would be my suggestion, and then
Yeah.
we'll decide what number to put in there at that point. We'll just have to do all 3 readings that night. That'll give the mayoral candidates time to fuss at us.
I'm talking 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock.
7?
7? The only other business I have to come before the council are some commendations from the fire chief. And if y'all don't have anything else, I'm gonna let y'all go down front so y'all can shake their hands after Jeremy makes the commendations. And then when he's done, we'll be dismissed. So if y'all just wanna step down there and
Pretty good.
and I'll turn the floor over to Jeremy.
Come on, Larry. Go down front.
I messed all over some stress.
Okay, I want to take a moment and recognize a couple of our folks. She was waiting all night to see you get this. Last week we had a event where a tree fell on a house from storms. I know y'all are all well aware of that. When we got on scene to that call, it definitely did not look good. But these two guys didn't quit, didn't give up, didn't stop. And once we did actually locate where the child was, these guys went into a collapsed area that was not safe. We definitely didn't make it as safe as it could have been, but they did what had to be done and got the child out without any harm. And I think that really says a lot about their integrity, their drive, their ambition to not stop. You know, I've always said that our department is kind of representative of a bulldog. We're small, but we're tenacious and we don't stop. And that's exactly what these guys personify. So in recognition of valuable contributions to the citizens of Malvern, Arkansas for valiance and preservation of human life during the storm damage rescue on October 2nd, Captain Heath Lloyd. Thank you, sir. In recognition of valuable contributions to citizens of Malvern, Arkansas for his valiance and preservation of human life during the storm damage rescue on October the 2nd, Lieutenant Johnny Farber. Thank you.
And with no further business to come before the council, you are dismissed.